Well, I was just trying to enjoy a nice Friday evening, kind of catching up on my shows on my DVR, right? And in the middle of all that, pretty late on our Friday night, comes this video, and boy, my phone blew up. Of course, mine may be probably a little bit more than Theron's because this is very much more so in the Republican circles where this is resonating and people are talking about it. And immediately begin talking about who's going to take her place in the 14th district as operatives begin looking at potential clients up there. And we're already beginning to see lists of people who are looking to run. She is not resigning immediately. She's waiting until after she gets past the next annual marker in her federal pension, which so like January 5th, she'll have 5 years in. It's a legitimate thing to do. I think that she is sincere. And as I've said here before, I believe you until you give me reason not to. I think she is sincerely tired of it. I think she is exhausted. The poison of the constant fights. Now she feels like she's under a physical threat from people attacking her because of her rift with Trump. And she's a mom. And that's got to be disconcerting and stressful for any parent.
Well, what struck me was her tone. Her tone was totally different.
You see, I have never valued power, titles, or attention in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me. I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington. I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility.
And she waited to the very end to give that clincher, that she was resigning. Tharon, what were your thoughts? What was your immediate reaction?
Politics right now is very hard. If you look at her tone and tenor, Lisa, and what you talked about, this is a woman who is not just kind of implying or inferring. She's literally saying, I'm under attack. The amount of criticism that came to her when she pushed back on Donald Trump this last go around, there's been reports that there's been death threats. Again, unconfirmed reports on my end. I'm just reporting what I've heard reporting. And it's not just death threats to her, Lisa, it's death threats to her family. So for those of us who, are in this game and the people who listen to us, we always sort of try to bring a level of humanization to these talks. Yes, we're very partisan. Yes, we want our teams to win. But what I saw in her, and I did watch it, is a woman who's scared, a woman who feels pretty much betrayed. And so let me talk about the scaredness. I think it's the wrath that people say you get when you go against Trump, right? So I think she's scared for herself and her family. But the disappointment, Lisa. This is a woman who has been the huge cheerleader for day one when it comes to the MAGA movement. And she also said, and I'll close, that she believes that the Republicans are actually going to have a bad midterm. So she also alluded that, hey, I may win this district, even if the president.
But everybody else is, you're right.
Yeah, I may win, but who wants to go back to Congress and be in the minority?
So immediately, people outside of politics, and really people inside of politics too, believe that any move by a politician is a move to move up the ladder in some way, to eye some other political position. And Tharon and I know that's not the case. We know that many of these folks do face real world pressure with their family, with their businesses, with their own personal economies, and they can't continue to serve. And in this case, I don't know that she is looking to run for U.S. Senate or run for governor, or some even say the White House in 2028. I think right now she wants to take a breather. She's had an intense 6 or 7 years. And I don't think that we're going to hear from her immediately. I would not be shocked at all if she goes underground for a bit.
What was the tipping point for her, Brian? Was it the word traitor? Was it being called a traitor before the entire nation? What did it?
That certainly upset her. We saw her respond to that like she had taken an electrical shock. She immediately was out there fighting back on that charge. I don't know what the breaking point was, but it wasn't out of the blue. This has been building for some time. She's been opposing Trump on issue after issue, on substantive issues. It hasn't been personal attacks on him. She's just like, I'm not with you on this issue. And let's dissect a few of the things in that video. One, nothing happens in Congress. Ding, 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 ding. Absolutely true. They can't even pass a budget anymore, right? And she's frustrated by that lack of action.
I think the thing that I'm hearing the most out of this conversation, Lisa, is two things. One, even when he was at his lowest points, Marjorie Taylor Greene carried the flag just as much as anybody in Georgia. I mean, some would argue that she was a unwavering supporter of him, more so than like Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who by the way has received his endorsement. The second thing I want to make sure our listeners know is that this was a woman who took a very untraditional, unorthodox path to become a member of Congress. Never run for office, never elected, never voted. Okay. Lisa didn't even participate in the process and literally lit fire in Northwest Georgia with a bunch of people who wanted undocumented, immigrants to be arrested, as she called them, illegal aliens, who started coming out of nowhere with all this QAnon stuff, who would literally yell at people and cut people off, cursing at reporters. I mean, these are all things I just want us to remember. This was the Marjorie Taylor Greene that we knew. I mean, she would make comments and it would be hard for Republicans in Georgia to defend her. You didn't really want to be that associated with Marjorie Taylor Greene. There were some things in the Republican Party that she would say, and you would hear Republicans say like, yeah, that's just Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG just doing her thing, just saying stuff. So I think we want to be careful about how much we wrap our arms around her, not only as a Democrat, but I think you're not seeing this huge race for Republicans to come out and endorse this move now.